Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. I'm Chavez. I'm Chavez. If you let Canelo tell it, he's already exceeded Julio, Cesar, Chavez. I'm Chavez. Canelo's not Chavez. For you Canelo fans out there, hold your horses and let's stop taking it to the stupid. It's going to take quite some time for Canelo to get over 107 fights, 85 KOs. To reach 107 fights and only have 6 losses, 4 of those by KO, 2 draws. To retire with that 80% KO ratio. It's going to take a while for Canelo to get there. Now, this is the issue. Canelo is a bad boy. He's accomplished a lot. You got to give him credit. I'm Chavez. But he's not Chavez. And for the fans out here who's okay with Canelo possibly fighting someone else who's bubbling up a couple weight divisions, doesn't matter who it is. You got to hold your horses and stop allowing this man to take it to the stupid. We're going to have a debate over who's the Mexican GOAT. Yeah, I said GOAT, not GOAT. Clarissa Shields, the greatest woman of all time. No, we're talking about if Canelo is greater than Chavez. I don't think so. Now, this is the problem you're going to run into, right? Since the 1990s, man, when Chavez was out there getting busy, the whole public, man, not just in Mexico, but everywhere, especially in Mexico, they were like, we're going to make this man the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. When you saw him fight, talent, crazy left hook, his jaw was ridiculous, man. They say, Roberto Duran had hands of stone. Chavez had a jaw of stone. And brave. Canelo's not really trying to be in no mash-up, crash-up type fight like Chavez. Chavez was the epitome of what a Mexican fighter should be. To this day, man, you go up. It's good that we have YouTube. Sometimes it sucks because you got any content creator who throws some bullshit out there. But you go to YouTube and just pull up. This is my thing. If you haven't watched fights of like a De La Hoya, a Chavez, a Mayweather, a Zab Judah, Shane Mosley, if you haven't watched some of those fights, go watch it. It's on YouTube. Watch like their first 20 fights. It don't cost you nothing. And you're going to understand why people say what they say about these fighters. And when it comes to Chavez, you're going to understand why he was anointed as the greatest Mexican fighter to ever live. Some people put him up there, well, not some. Most people put him above. There was a guy named Ruben Olivares and Salvador Sanchez. So, when you start talking about the Aztec warrior, I mean, it's for them to say Chavez is better than those guys, I mean, that means something. Now, around that time when he was kind of fizzling out, and you had guys like Eric Morales, Barrera, these guys kind of came onto the scene, and it was like, okay, they're going to continue to carry Mexican boxing forward, just like from where Chavez left off, and they ended up in the Hall of Fame. And I would say, like Chavez, them guys are immortalized out there in Mexico, but not even they would allow anyone to say they're better than Chavez. So for Canelo to be out here talking about I'm Chavez, that's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. But anyway, when Barrera started to fizzle out, Juan Manuel Marquez started to fizzle out, Morales started to fizzle out, all of a sudden, you got Chavez Jr., and then you had this guy, old Carrot Head, Saul Canelo Alvarez, really starting to make some noise in boxing. And that's when people started to pay attention and say, this guy Canelo could really take things a step further than what Chavez did, because Chavez Jr. looked like he was the one to take things forward. Because Chavez Jr., people only remember Chavez Jr. after he started like losing his damn mind. Chavez Jr. was out here tranquilizing people. You know, Chavez Jr. was the truth. Don't know what happened to him. Them drugs and depression, man. But he was on his way. But nonetheless, Chavez Jr. and Canelo, they were on TV. They were on American TV. They were on TV Azteca, Televisa. They were on everything. They were getting some serious coverage. And I think that they were helping to not only keep boxing alive, but to also kind of, revive boxing in a sense. But the problem is Chavez Jr. couldn't live up to that last name. I mean, that's a lot to try to live up to. And then you have, a guy like Canelo, goes on to become a megastar. Fought Floyd, lost, but still people respected him for that fight. And then when Floyd retired, Canelo was out of here. Talk about, it's not even about Floyd handing the baton off to him. No, that's not how that worked. Canelo, like he took a torch out of Floyd's hand and he was like, yo, I'm out of here. I'm the face of boxing now. And you got to give him credit. I think around 2016, 17, Canelo was out of here as far as his performances, the matches that he was making. He was doing a lot of great stuff. Some people still give him flack for some of the fights he made and the weights that he fought at and, the opponents that he fought. But he was beating champions. So you got to give him credit for beating champions. But at the end of the day, I don't think we can argue when Canelo says shit like, I'm Chavez. I'm better than Chavez. I've done more for the Mexican people than Chavez and boxing than Chavez. Yo, it's hard to disagree with that, but he ain't better than Chavez, not to me. Now, there's no argument that, I don't know, categorically maybe he's gone beyond Chavez as far as money generated and stuff like that. But what I will tell you is, times are different now. You know what I mean? And there's so much money in the sport of boxing now. But what I will say, if people are still looking at Chavez and how he fought De La Hoya and earned $9 million, that was his career high across 115 fights. I mean, look, times are different. We know Canelo's out there making $45 million against Gennady Golovkin. You know what I'm saying? And that was just for one fight. So I just don't think it's fair to start trying to draw a comparison like that because times are different. Canelo being the highest paid athlete for a few years, there's a reason for that. But what I will say, although Canelo in the ring, matter of fact, Canelo's been fighting for how long now, man? Let's take a look. So he's had 60 fights, 39 knockouts, 2 losses. He turned pro in 2000. Canelo been fighting almost 20 years, man. That's crazy. Almost 20 years Canelo been fighting. But the bottom line is when we're talking about Canelo Alvarez, 20 years in the ring, all those fights, winning world titles in multiple divisions. I think light heavyweight, super middleweight, super welterweight. I mean, those are amazing accomplishments, man. And he's, he made history by being the only, or the first Mexican to unify the crowns of a division of the 4 main boxing organizations, and the first fighter in general to do so at 168 pounds. So, it's a pretty big deal. And even though he lost to Bivol, people still consider him, pound for pound, one of the best fighters. But I think when you start looking at quality of wins, that's where Canelo, his name shouldn't even be mentioned alongside Chavez. And it is what it is. So, I don't know. Everybody's going to have an opinion on it. Some people think Roberto Duran did more than anyone else, but it's always going to be a debate. And with these debates, you got to analyze the achievements. You know what I'm saying? And you got to look at, who the wins were against. But that being said, I don't know. I think until further notice, Chavez is going to remain the undisputed king of Mexican boxing. And you never heard Chavez try to downplay anyone else who came before him. And when people tell him he's the greatest, like if you watch Fernando Vargas is like he ready to cry with the Chavez, to me, no one is better than Chavez. It's like Jesus Christ. Fernando Vargas is about to cry. He can't even talk about Chavez without about to cry. So, that being said, man, Canelo Alvarez returning in May. Against who? No one knows. Word on the street is, it could be anybody. At this point, you don't know. I think it's Benavidez. But you just don't know. But I tell you what, if Canelo gets in there and he can tranquilize Benavidez, man, we got to really sit back and maybe listen to Canelo when he says, I'm Chavez. You got to really listen to him, because if he can get out there and knock out Benavidez, I don't know, man. It may be worth the conversation. Then I may have to delete this video and say Canelo really is, the next Chavez, or better than Chavez, because that Benavidez win would be huge. But I just don't think he beats Benavidez, but hopefully that fight happens. That being said, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans. Let's not take it to the stupid like Canelo Alvarez. Don't get me wrong. He's a lot of money, a lot of great accomplishments. The quality of opponents, man. But then again, some say it's not his fault. I say it is his fault. Canelo can fight anyone he wants. We can't come out here with these excuses, about, well, he shouldn't fight. No, Canelo can anyone Canelo wants to fight, he can fight. Fights will get made. It's not a matter of the fight not being able to be made. It's Canelo not wanting to make those fights. Anyway, in the breeze.